I really hope West Ham United re-sign Jesse Lingard. I would love to see him back with the Hammers. Get j-lingz back to the London Stadium. Alright, enough of the j-lingz stuff. But my colours are firmly nailed to the mast on this one. I feel quite strongly about it. I really hope that Jesse Lingard re-signs for West Ham United. I think it makes sense for David Moyes. I think it makes sense for Jesse Lingard. And most importantly, of course, it makes sense for West Ham United. Do I think it'll happen? I'm optimistic, and that is it. I've got no confidence in this whatsoever. But I do feel the ball's in West Ham's court. I think it's our deal to mess up. But I am getting a little bit worried that perhaps we will fumble the bag on this one once again, and that we're repeating the same mistakes as we did last summer. Now, last summer when he chose Nottingham Forest over West Ham, a lot of the blame was put firmly and solely at Jesse Lingard's door. Now, of course, he had his part to play. He wasn't blameless. But I do think West Ham had their part to play as well. And that's going by what Jesse Lingard has very publicly said during the season while we're Nottingham Forest. And I just worry that we're doing something similar again this summer that might see Jesse Lingard choosing another club over West Ham. And that's if we even decide to make him an offer. We haven't done that yet. But that feeds into what I think we're doing slightly wrong this summer and why we might end up losing Jesse Lingard should we eventually want him. But anyway, we'll deal with the opinion on Jesse in just a minute. Before we do, if you're new to Hammers Chat, please do subscribe to the channel. You can do that by clicking that big red button under the screen. It's quite simple. There's a big red button that says subscribe. It takes 2 seconds and then you're subscribed to the channel. But while you're down there, please also drop a like on the video by clicking a thumbs up. Both things help out the channel and both things give me a bit of a morale boost. So thank you very much. Now, before we deal with the opinion part, because there will be a lot of people that oppose what I'm saying, and I get it, I completely get it. I'm not here to change your mind. I don't mind. If you don't want Jesse Lingard back, it doesn't bother me. That's your opinion. I'm not trying to change it. I'm just here to give my opinion as to why I really want Jesse back at West Ham. But before we do that part, let's deal with sort of the news part of it. What's the latest on the Jesse Lingard situation? He's had an offer from Wolves. Gary O'Neill wants him at the Molineux. He's had 2 offers from Saudi Arabia. He might get an offer from West Ham. Now, there's the part of the problem starting to creep in yet. Apparently, David Moyes wishes to discover how committed he is to West Ham before he gets that contract offer. I think if you gave him a contract offer, you'd soon find out if he's committed to West Ham or not. But regardless, Moyes wishes to discover if Lingard is committed to West Ham. And I get it, by the way. If Moyes is a little bit cautious after what happened last summer, I completely get it, because there was probably a little bit of embarrassment there from West Ham, and the same thing might happen again. I wouldn't be surprised. This is why we're being a bit standoffish this time round. But tomorrow, West Ham take on Ipswich Town at Rush Green in a behind closed doors friendly. Jesse Lingard will be playing in that match. He will feature for West Ham. So Moyes and the team will get to evaluate his fitness, see how he's getting on with the current group of lads, and hopefully that will and surely will feed into whether he gets a contract offer or not from West Ham. So that's the latest with Jesse Lingard, and I really hope it happens. Now, a lot of this, my opinion, is based on what I believe to have happened between West Ham and Jesse, going all the way back 2 years ago. So we cast our mind back to that January, had that fantastic loan spell for us, went back to Man United, we tried to sign him. Man U said he's not for sale, we're not selling him. Rashford's injured, he's staying with us till January, so he couldn't come that summer. But I believe, personally, he wanted to, but I do think there was an element of him that wanted to stay at Man United, because Ollie then promised him minutes. Ollie then told him after the loan spell at West Ham, yep, you're going to get a chance at Man United, you're back in the team now. And I don't blame Lingard for saying, I've got a chance at Man U again, my boyhood club, I've been here since I think he was 6 years old or something. I get it. If Lingard's thought, well, here we go, I'll give it 6 months and see if I get more minutes. Now, obviously, the January transfer window came round. Rashford's now back. Lingard hasn't had more minutes. We went back in for him. Man United turned around and said, you're not getting him because you're a rival in the Premier League. You're next to us in the league table. We give you Jesse and you finish above us, we're going to look stupid. They were right. They were correct to do that because we finished 1 place behind them. So had we had Lingard, I would argue that actually that would have been worth a few more points and we would have finished above Man U. So I think Man United actually did the right thing blocking Lingard's move to West Ham in the January transfer window. But I strongly believe this one, that Lingard wanted to come to West Ham in that January transfer window. Now obviously the summer came round, he's out of contract, he's now left Man United, and there was almost an expectation he was going to come. But like I said, Jesse wasn't blameless. He did his flirting, he did his teasing, he did his twerking. He was putting out posts on social media hinting he was going to come back to West Ham. He was going to sign for us. And like I said, there was an expectation there. Then that what felt like the 11th hour, Forrest came in and got him, essentially. And at the time, there was a lot of, well, he's only going there for the money. Now, that will have played a part. I'm not naive enough to think that because Forrest offered him a lot more money than we did, that wasn't part of the factor as to why he went there to the City ground. It probably was a big part of the reason he went. But I get it. Football is a job. If he's gone somewhere that have offered him more money than the other club, I get it. West Ham will often sign players because we've offered more money than our rivals. You look at the Mohamed Kudus deal, for example. Went and had negotiations with Brighton and he walked away from them because he wasn't happy with the personal terms on the table. A lot of talk, it was because he wanted a release clause. Well, he's not got one at West Ham that we know of. But there was also a lot of talk, it was due to wages. Brighton's wage structure couldn't fit Kudus in. He's come to West Ham, I assume he's on big money here. So perhaps we've got Kudus over Brighton this summer because of the wages we've offered. We've offered more money on him. We'll win some, we'll lose some. But the Lingard one was obviously different because when he was at Man United and he was at the team, we took him here, we gave him that loan spell and sort of put him back on the map a little bit. Everybody knew who Lingard was, but I think we gave him that platform, say, hey, look what Jesse Lingard can still do. Look what Lingard can bring to a Premier League club willing to put him in the team. And then that's probably, would he have got that move to Nottingham Forest without the loan spell at West Ham? Possibly. I don't know if he would have got the wages he got at Nottingham Forest without that loan spell at West Ham United. So he certainly benefited off the back of it. But when Jesse Lingard went and did that podcast with Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO, and he spoke about how Forrest showed him the love, again, a lot of people said, oh yeah, money. He paid more money. Again, it's probably a contributing factor. But there were other things as well. And as I understand it, there's still one or two things that need to be settled from his time at West Ham. When he was here, he wasn't happy with one or two things. His watch being pinched is one of them. I think the way the club handled it didn't sit very well with Jesse Lingard, hence why it ended up in the mainstream media. And there was one or two other things as well, which hasn't been put in the public domain. And I don't think it will because of this, because there was a chance of him re-signing. It's not in Lingard's favour to leak it, and West Ham certainly aren't going to leak it either. So it's sort of still in private, and I like that though. It should stay there. But then when Jesse Lingard speaks about feeling the love from Nottingham Forest, you know, the owner of Forest put him on a private plane, flew him to London and schmoozed him very quickly. And like I said, I'm sure the wages were part of that as well. But it made Jesse feel wanted. So while he left West Ham feeling a bit unwanted at the end of the loan spell, Forrest has come in and really gave him a big cuddle, a big virtual cuddle, and said, we want you here, and he's gone there. Now, was it a mistake for him to go to Forest? Yes, it was. Does he regret it? I don't know. He probably does. I hope he does. He should do. He should think, actually, maybe I should have went back to West Ham, because that was a safe bet. He knew the players, he knew boys, Mark Noble, he knew the fans loved him when he was here. It was an easy move for Lingard to make to come to West Ham last summer. It was an easy option. And he did the wrong thing going to Nottingham Forest. His season couldn't have been much worse. Put it that way. If he came in to West Ham, I'm quite confident he would have had a better season than he did when he went to the City ground. But he's back in training with us now, and he's been training with us for quite a few weeks. But we're in this situation. I'm going back to why part of the reason Jesse Lingard went to Nottingham Forest, and I use the word part carefully here, because it's because he felt the love, right? If you don't have to believe him, that's fine. Like I said, I do believe that part, though. I do believe that West Ham perhaps didn't handle things correctly when he was here on loan, and that's played into his decision. Now, if you have a look at what we've done in the last week at West Ham, we had one squad space left. After the signings of Ward-Prowse, Alvarez, Kudus and Mavropanos, we had one place left in the squad. We could have signed anyone. It feels like we went all in for Yuri Alberto. Stadium went off to Brazil, which in hindsight was the wrong thing to do. Our technical director at the closing stages of the transfer window has flown all the way over to Brazil, which sort of puts any other deal on the back burner a little bit, and he didn't get his man. So maybe an error on Steiden's part of that one. But very publicly, Steiden was in Brazil. So Lingard might be looking at this going, hang on a minute, you've got one space left in the squad, you sign him, then what happens with me? You can't sign me anymore. And that would be true. Had we signed Yuri Alberto or a other in the last couple of days of the transfer window, at the minute there'd be no space for Jesse Lingard. We've got one space left, and that's because we didn't sign anyone. So this goes back to what Lingard wanting to feel wanted. Was he feeling wanted at the end of the transfer window? Probably not, but regardless, it's done now. He's still here. But like I said, he's had 3, or it's reported, again, it depends what you believe. It's reported he's had 3 contract offers, 1 from Wolves, 2 from Saudi. none from West Ham. We still haven't made him that contract offer. Now, I sort of get it. Why would we give him a contract and start paying him wages while he's essentially doing a pre-season? Jesse Lingard is currently doing a pre-season, and when I spoke to the person that knows Jesse, there was rumours before the Chelsea game we'd offered him a contract, and I was going to do a video for the first time about Lingard this summer. I said, what's the truth? He said, you haven't offered him a contract, he's not getting one. He's well off match sharpness, he's nowhere near fit enough. So I thought, well, could he even do 5-10 minutes off the bench? And I was like, well, maybe, but he's not match sharp, so West Ham will not offer him a contract. So I understood that. Why would we start paying him when we could essentially do this bit and save ourselves quite a lot of money at the end of the day? Because even when he's on low wages for Jesse Lingard, he'll still be on 60 grand a week if he gets a short-term contract with us. He'll still be well reimbursed. So the club's obviously saving a bit of cash, having a look at him in training, see if he's up to it, because if you look at his year at Nottingham Forest, it would suggest that no, he's not up to it, that he has lost it, that he's not the player he was when we had him on loan. So I understand why we need to evaluate the situation. So I get West Ham's point of view, but I also get where Jesse Lingard might come in and say, well, hang on a minute, these three clubs have all put an offer on the table, and the club I'm training with, the club I want to come to, haven't. So what am I meant to do at this point? And then we get on to the other one, which is, well, the other night, Monday night, we had to register our Europa League squad, which we cannot change until the knockout stages. So we've registered our squad for the group stage. Obviously, it doesn't include Jesse Lingard because he's not a West Ham United player. So we've registered our squad. That's done now. So even if we sign Lingard today, Jesse Lingard cannot play a minute for us in European football until the knockout phases. And then when that comes round, you can make 3 alterations to your squad between the group stage and knockout stage. So should we proceed, we can then add Jesse Lingard into the squad. Happy days. But for now, Lingard can play no part of our European campaign if we signed him today. And I go back to what Jesse Lingard said about feeling the love. Like I said, you might think it's money only. That's fine. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm here to tell you my opinion. And my opinion is that this type of thing probably feeds into that. He's probably sat there thinking, if you sign me, the transfer window closed on Friday. If you sign me a Saturday or Sunday or Monday morning, I could have been registered. You could have registered me. The squad registration went in late Monday night. I can't remember the exact cut-off time it went into UEFA. The deadline is Monday evening. So West Ham could have signed Jesse Lingard on Monday and registered him for the European squad. The transfer window's closed at this point now, so we can't bring in anyone else bar other free agents. But why would we do that? Why would you prioritise Phil Jones? I'm plucking a random free agent out there here. Why would you prioritise Phil Jones over a guy that you've had training with you for the last few weeks? You just wouldn't. So Lingard might be thinking, hang on a minute, why would you not sign me now and register me for the European squad? Now I can't play. If you sign me now, I cannot play 6 games of the first half of the season. I can't play a minute of. I can play the Premier League games in between and give players a rest if they need to. But what happens, hypothetically, if we do sign Jesse Lingard? What happens if he does hit the ground running like he did in his loan spell? And let's face it, there's a space up for grabs in the starting 11 right now. There's a space up for grabs, and the hope is that Kudus would pinch it, or Fornals might take it. But there's a space there. So what happens if Jesse Lingard hypothetically came in and started doing well? We need to win our last group game. It's a tough group. I mean, it could have been more difficult, but it could have been easier. I think Olympiacos and Freiburg are difficult teams. So what happens if we need to win that one? And Lingard's our most informed player in the Premier League. We can't use him in the European campaign. So it feels like a little bit of an error from West Ham if we sign him. And this is why I just feel like we're making the same mistake again, which is, I don't want to say, well, almost like dithering a little bit with Lingard. And we did it last summer. It just dragged on and on. As soon as Lingard left Man United, or as soon as you're legally allowed to negotiate with Jesse Lingard, because his contract was running up at Man U, I think it's the 1st of May. It runs out at the end of June. I think maybe the 1st of June, you can actually legally negotiate when they've got 1 month to go. Different for abroad clubs, but in England, and like I said, I use the word legally key here. We all know what happens. You can start speaking them in March if you want to, but he should have been almost like done deal. So as soon as his contract ends with Man U, he's signing one with West Ham. It should have been done, but it wasn't. We waited and we waited and waited, and in the end, Forest came in and took him. And I just worry we're doing the same thing again, where we've got him in and we're waiting, and Wolves have come along and said, there's your contract offer, Jesse. You've basically done a pre-season with West Ham. You're now close to match fitness. We need an attacking player. We'll have you, kind of thing. And I just worry that we've messed it up. Now, the Jesse Lingard thing, long term, like I said, will we be signing the same player? Don't know. But in January, Ghana need a point. They're likely to get it. Ghana need a point to qualify for the African Nations. That would see Kudus disappear into African Nations. Ivory Coast have qualified. Cornet's in the squad at the minute, so I think it's fair to expect him to be in the squad for the African Nations. He's not getting much football at West Ham. That also doesn't matter. Like I said, he's in the squad now. Algeria have qualified. Ben Rama's in the latest squad. Morocco have qualified. Aguerd will be in the squad. So we're losing 4 players. Now, obviously, Aguerd doesn't really relate to Lingard. The other 3 certainly do, though. Cornet, Ben Rama and Kudus are all off. Like I said, Ghana will likely qualify. So they're all going to go to the African Nations in January. So we could probably do with an attacking player. Lingard, having Lingard in the squad, and hopefully by then he's up and running, I think it'd be a wise thing to do. And last point, and this is the least point, right? This one's not really that important. The other ones are. The last point I'm going to make is he's homegrown. If you have a look at the Premier League squad we've just registered, we've got 8 homegrown players, essentially. You're allowed 17 non-homegrown players. We've got 16, 8 homegrown and 1 vacant space. So we're slim. The numbers are slim for the homegrown players. Creswell wanted out. Antonio probably wouldn't have minded leaving. Connor Coventry doesn't really have a future at the club. I mean, he can't really go because he's club trained. That's a different argument for a different day. But in terms of homegrown players, we're restricted in January a little bit, but if we have Jesse Lingard and Creswell still wants out, we can then grant him that move. If Antonio wants out and we don't mind selling him, we can sell him. We can then start to move homegrown players on if they wish to, because Lingard will count towards that quota. I think it's a no-brainer getting Jesse in. I just hope that he does. I hope he does sign for us, and I hope we're not going to see what we saw the first time around. I'm not that stupid, right? To produce those numbers again would be ridiculous. It just won't happen. But if he can come in and just be a useful squad player, and that's minimum, that's a low expectation, I think, for a new signing. You can come in and start a handful of games and be off the bench, be an option off the bench, then good, because we don't really have a player like him. We still don't have a player like him. Kudus will be the player that can get the ball on the halfway line, turn and dribble with it. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? But we've missed that, Jesse. We've not had that since Lingard left. And I think it'd be good if we are, maybe not the Man City or Liverpool game, but further on down the line, if you're looking at the Sheffield United game at the end of September, say it's 0-0 with 20 minutes to go. You're looking at the bench. I'll tell you what, I'd want Jesse Lingard on there. Yes, please. We can get him on the pitch and we can get a bit of what we've seen when he was on loan. Lingard won us matches. He's got that ability about him. And when he came in the first time, he had a point to prove. He'll be coming back with a different point. He came in the first time to give 2 fingers to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, to show the Man United fans, this is what I can do. He wanted back in the England squad. He did everything he could. He'll be coming to West Ham this time round with a completely different point, which is, I want to play for West Ham. I want to show the fans what I can do. And as we've seen the first time, when you've got a motivated Jesse Lingard and a fit Jesse Lingard, he's a bloody good player. Anyway, I would love Jesse back, and I'm not expecting many people to agree with me, but on this one I'm 100% Jesse Lingard to West Ham United, please. That's my reasonings for it. Like I said, don't expect to be too popular, but it depends on what you believe. But that's what I believe. I believe the club could have done more for him. I think he should have chosen better. I still think he should have came last summer. Both have got a second chance. You don't often get second chances in football. Jesse's got a second chance to come back to West Ham. And West Ham got a second chance to sign Jesse Lingard when we both got it wrong last summer. This summer we can both get it right, and I hope we do. And hopefully he does well in the friendly tomorrow and he's ready to go again against Manchester City. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and disappear. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like, comment, subscribe to Hammers Chat. Catch up with you in a bit.